On the anniversary of the visit of the relics of St. Therese to Scotland, we have decided to offer this novena in preparation for her feast day this year. We will be using the stained glass window in our chapel as we do a short reflection on different aspects of her life and teachings each day. First, I'll give an overview of her life. Therese was born in 1873 in Alençon, the fifth of 5 sisters, her other sisters being Marie, Pauline, Leonie, and Céline. As her mother was already suffering from breast cancer, she had to be sent to a wet nurse when she was 2 months old and returned to her family when she was 1 year old. In 1877, when Therese was only 4 years old, her mother died. Pauline became her new little mother, and they moved to Lisieux a few months later to be near an uncle and aunt and 2 cousins. She went to school in 1881 when she was 8 years old. Her older sisters had been her tutors until then. In 1882, Pauline, the sister who had taken the place of her mother, entered the Lisieux Carmel. Therese was only 9 years old. She made her first communion in 1884. When Céline left the school in 1886, Therese was too sensitive to stay there alone and had private tuition. Her other sister, Marie, then entered Carmel. She remained a very sensitive child, but on Christmas night in 1886, she was given a special grace to overcome this. In 1894, she began to write her autobiography at the request of her sister Pauline, who was now prioress of the Lisieux Carmel. She was given the office of novice mistress, and she also wrote letters to 2 missionary brothers who had asked for someone to pray for them. In 1896, she became ill with tuberculosis, for which there was no cure in those days. Her last year was a time of spiritual darkness, and she experienced a trial of faith until her death. Therese was obscure, unknown outside of a small circle of people. She had no outstanding achievements. However, after her death, the sisters in Lisieux circulated her autobiography. And this is what happened. In 1898, the 2,000 copies of the autobiography had to be printed. In 1899, 4,000 copies. Since then, it has been constantly reprinted and translated into other languages worldwide. From 1899, only 2 years after her death, pilgrims began to travel to Lisieux, and there were reports of favors and cures due to the intercession of Therese. 1909 saw the beginning of the beatification process. She was beatified in 1923, canonized in 1925, proclaimed a Doctor of the Church by St. John Paul II in 1997. How can we explain this explosion of popularity that came after her death? If you follow our novena, you will find out as we explore and reflect on the stained glass window of Therese in our chapel.